Well, Bill Nation was mayor when I was just a wee little guy, and when I was in high school. So I think the important thing is just to say thank you for his service. He did it as a mayor, as you said earlier. He did it as a legislator, and I just always admire people who serve the community. And obviously, he was a very popular man throughout his life, and it's going to be missed. But 96 years old, that's a great life, and it should be just a celebration of a great life well lived. I would love to live to be 96 years old if I could be as sharp as Mayor Nation was throughout his life. I've talked to him on the phone since I've been elected, and he's a very gracious and a beautiful man. He'll be missed. Well, I will tell you that this has been a really interesting process. I think a couple of things I really liked about it was it showed the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial spirit that is here in Cheyenne. We had some amazing entrepreneurs, people who really truly have a vision for what these old buildings could be and what Cheyenne could be from an entertainment and a quality of life perspective. It's really sad, as we've talked about before, that we're only able to give away one of those licenses. And last night at the committee of the whole, which is the city council less the mayor, six of the people voted for the rail spur. And so on Monday night, I think it'll be just a foregone conclusion that they'll get this license and they'll be able to move on with their concept. The West Edge Collective is a marketing company. I think they did a beautiful job of talking about what their vision looks like and being able to sell the council on that vision. Frankly, I was a little disappointed in the decision only because I really wanted to see a historic building get restored as part of this. We have these historic buildings that are having demolition by neglect, where they're literally are just been sitting there for sometimes 50 years and they've been empty and they're slowly just kind of deteriorating to the point where they might not be able to be saved. And if we could have used a liquor license to be able to get that business to decide to go into those buildings and rehabilitate them and get them back to life, I think would have been my preference. But I'm sure these guys will do a great job of having a fun and entertaining place for us to eat and to recreate. Yeah, so we started a group called the Select Cities Caucus, and it's the 6 largest cities. And Carter Napier and Casper and I have already started the process of getting us together to discuss this issue and the housing issue. And because they're interim topics, what can we do to try to change the calculus of how they do that? The county has 55 liquor licenses in Laramie County right now that are available that they can give out. They can't be within 5 miles of a city, but they have 55 and we have 0. I mean, it just tells you that the system is broken. And so I don't know what that looks like. I don't know. We have to be fair to the people who have those licenses, but we also have to be fair to the community and try to figure out a way to be able to give more people an opportunity to enter into business and doing it. We are a capitalist country, and Wyoming is probably as capitalist as you get, right? We're a red state, and we shouldn't be limiting the opportunities. And so we'll talk to everybody that's involved and see if there's a way. I don't know what that looks like, but that we could say yes to more of these businesses. And maybe it's a scaled down license. Maybe I don't know what that looks like, but we've got to do something. There's just too many opportunities right now that we need here in Laramie County and across the state. The mayor of Lusk talked to us. Their little town of 403 people. They said they had 2 businesses looking to try to go in their community, and because they didn't have a liquor license, they chose not to open. That would have been a game changer for those little towns, and we're hearing that across the state. So it's not just a big city, it's not a Cheyenne and Casper thing. It's a statewide issue. We'll work on it. Yeah, I really value the opportunities to talk to other leaders in other communities, and Carter in Casper, Hune in Gillette, folks who have been doing this for a while, that are professionally trained. It's nice to be able to talk to them, see how they're handling things, share ideas, share concerns, and share solutions. And so we're working together. And I think that that's kind of a unique thing, that we are trying to work together to try to make things easier for all of us. And I look forward to continuing to do that throughout my time as mayor. It's interesting. We just had our elected officials meeting for Laramie County. And during that meeting, the town of Pine Bluffs told us they only had 1 house available. The mayor of Burns said they had 0 houses available. At that time, we had 34 houses in Cheyenne. And when I talked to Carter up in Casper, he had like 55 houses available. That just tells you how we are in a crisis. We're trying to diversify our economy. We're trying to get people to move to Cheyenne, to Casper, to Wyoming to take jobs. But if there's no place for them to live, they're not going to come. And so to me, housing is probably the one thing that could stop the ability of us to diversify and to build our economies. We've got to have a place for people to live. So I'm really happy that the legislature chose to make it an interim topic. I think it's something we have to talk about statewide. And again, I talked to the mayors of little towns, 300 and 400 people. They have zero places for people to move. And if they're going to grow and survive, they've got to be able to fix that just as much as we do. So that might be 5 houses in a little town. It might be 5,000 in a bigger city. But we all have the same problem. It's just with a couple zeros behind it. Well, I think there's a lot of things that we can do. We can look at our zoning rules to make sure that we're doing everything we can to be able to make the widest variety of housing choices available. Maybe making some sites available for smaller homes, maybe smaller garages on smaller lots, would help with making them more affordable. I mean, affordability is really becoming a problem. As the city is growing, rents are going up. And that means there's going to be a lot of folks in the lower end of the socioeconomic scale that are going to be left behind. I had a meeting yesterday with the group from Safe House. When people are struggling financially, unfortunately, that's when domestic violence and things like that keep occurring. And so we've got to fix it in all ends. But affordability and availability of homes is our biggest crisis. Sure, on the multifamily side, I think we're doing pretty well, Will. There's been a project we've been working on since I think 2014 or 2015, and it's a large apartment building right behind Walmart, north of Del Range and just a little bit west of Converse. That's going to be up to about 500 units when it's done. It's going to have swimming pools and clubhouses and things like that. I think I shared with you another company that's promised 1,000 units by the end of this decade. They're breaking ground this spring on their first 220 units. So that's working. And then we have large developments like Sweetgrass, Harmony Valley, Whitney Ranch, Saddle Ridge. So we have some very large developments moving on right now. This last week we talked about at Whitney Ranch, there's about 1,200 housing units sites available. Getting water to those is going to be the challenge, and it's going to cost $4.5 million just to build the water line to that spot. And so we're working on how can we phase that water line so they can get those homes built. So we are working on ways to try to make that happen. But quite frankly, the demand is here, and I think the developers are here. We're just going to try to make sure we do everything we can on our end to make that process as easy as we can. Time's money. We need to make it easy.